So I was called to recover this control unit, which is E98. We tried writing the ECU with exhaust and it failed. So it got to some percentage and it failed. So you can see you need 200 ohms resistor and you set it to the boot mode. So as at now, I've done the pinout and I've also fixed my 200 ohms resistors on it. So this is the connection and this is the ECU type. So this is E98 and it uses the MPC chip. So with this, what you do is you do the connection, which is the can high, can low. This one you don't need any 120 ohm resistor between the can high and can low. So you wait for everything to be set and done. So now you see I have to get the 12 volts and all of them are on one socket, which is the black one. All the pinouts are on one socket, which is the black one. So with this one, the next thing to do is to check if all my connections are okay and well fitted and follow the colors. So with obdstar you get the same colors and you have to get the password also. So now I select, so there is two options. You can use bench mode or boot mode, but I'm using boot mode because we have to recover the ECU. So and we have to get strong internet connection. And with the E-series you have to get a shadow password, a shadow flash password. So with this one I have the shadow flash password already, whereby I read the ECU. So the ECU I read it to give out the file for them to do the editing. So during the reading process it will give you the password. So if you do videos on it, you'll get the password. So I got the password from the previous read that I did on the ECU. So I'll input the password, which is 16 digits, before I'll be able to write the flash. So now it checks the password and if it is correct, it allows me to go into boot mode to write my flash and my EEPROM onto it. And these both of them are internal EEPROM and internal flash, so we don't have those internal EEPROM, or we don't have anything related to it. So I'll check my power and ground again and do the connection. And because I've already written the password, I'll wait for it to connect to the system. So both of them are internal flash and internal EEPROM. So if you want to change it, that means you have to change the whole processor itself. So wait for it to get the connection. I was getting certain errors due to the power is not being okay. So now that I get the right power and the right voltage, now it should connect so that I'll be able to communicate with the device. So I'll try it again and see why I'm not able to communicate with it. And sometimes you have to select the exact component or the unit you are using. So I'll re-enter the password, and even if the password, there is an error in the password, that one also will not allow you to enter into the boot mode. So this one I will re-enter the password to see if maybe I made some error somewhere. That's why I was not able to enter into boot mode. Because if you don't have the password, you can't go into the boot mode. You have to get the right password, the shadow. If you don't get the right password, you can't enter into boot mode. So you have to check if everything is okay. So sorry, the reason why I checked was to see if the ECU I'll be able to communicate with the ECU. So I selected bench mode to see if I'll be able to connect to the ECU, because during the bench mode you don't need the password to enter into boot mode. So I'm still getting this error which is telling me my ECU is not recognized, or my ECU, I'm not able to communicate with it. Not knowing it was the big ground which was causing my issue. So I'll go back and select boot mode, then select my device connected to it, then go to connect and re-enter the password again, or the 16-digit password. Then click on connect so that it will be able to connect. You can see now it's able to connect to it, and now I can do the read and write. So this one, I have the file already, the original file on the ECU itself, because I've read it before. So you can see that now I'm able to write the internal EEPROM, and now I'm going to select the internal flash also to write. The internal flash will take much time, because normally the flash is huge, and this is a 4 MB flash, so it's huge, so it will take much time. But before that, it has to erase all the data on it. So when we're using the exhaust tool, it erased, which is the multiprog, it erased all the data, and writing it got to like 40%, and it went off. And recently we are having that difficulty, but recently someone posted that he also tried and tried and tried, and the next day when he tried, when the internet was strong and the server was right, it was able to read all 100%, and the ECU is back alive. So sometimes if you are not able to read the issue, it could be that maybe you are having an issue with internet issues. But I don't try multi-prog with the AC Deco ECUs, because I have killed like 2 control board from that same machine. So not all the machines are perfect, but sometimes we try it and give them the feedback so that they improve on the machine, and they constantly update it so that they can so that they can fix our feedbacks. So I'll wait for the flash to write. It's now 19-20%, and I'll wait for it to finish writing the flash. Then after that, I'll go to the bench mode to read the ECU information to see if now my device can communicate with the ECU. Because normally when it happens that way, the flash is corrupted. It doesn't really affect the EEPROM. It's only when writing the flash that's where issues come in. So when the flash is affected, all you need to do is you need to write the flash back, then you'll be able to communicate with the EEPROM. So with this one, what I'm doing is I'll wait for the flash to finish. So with this one, what I'll do is I have to wait for the flash to finish. And so most of the machines, when you are using, you have to be very cautious about it. It's true, it's a new device and it's giving us issues, but they are trying their best to fix. Sometimes one machine can save you, sometimes other machine. So with this issue that was corrupted, if we didn't have the right if you didn't have the password, we would not have been able to restore it, because normally when it get break, you need the password for this series, because they don't read direct from there. So it tells you it goes into a boot mode, but the boot mode, the can line also work, and it needs the password. So it's not something like other ECUs that when you are reading boot mode, you have to let some of the pins, on the control board itself at that point, even if you don't have password, because you are communicating direct to the MCU, you can read and write the flash. But with this one, you need the password, because you are using the can line, and just 1 or 2 resistors will take it into a boot mode. So without the password, the can line will not allow you to bypass it. So this is what happens. So if you didn't have the password, like by now, you have to buy a new ECU for the client. It happens. It's part of our job as programmers. We damage control boards a lot, and Always you have to have a way of restoring some of the control, but most of them can be restored. When it is damaged by bench or by ECU flashing, or by programming, you can restore it back by boot mode. So when you are doing certain things, you have to check, does this ECU have boot mode? If it has boot mode, then you are good to go, because when it breaks, because it has boot mode and you have a machine to recover it, you can easily do it from the boot mode section to recover the ECU. So this one I'll wait. It's taking more than 4 or 5 minutes, because it's 4 MB, so it's huge. So I'll be patient and wait for it to finish writing the internal flash onto it. Then from that point, I'll be able to communicate with it, even with a diagnosing machine. But as at this state, if I cancel it, still the ECU will be bricked. But if I don't cancel it and I let it run, the ECU, when it runs 100%, the ECU will be recovered. So some of the ECUs can be recovered, and most of the time you have to find a way of recovering it through the boot mode. So if you are a programmer or a beginner and you are working on these machines, you have to strategize your ways of doing work. You have to work on ECUs which can have boot mode, or which you can recover through boot mode, and you have to get machines to do that boot mode. So when the ECU breaks, you are not afraid to recover it, because this job, it was a headache. If we couldn't get the password, like, would have bought a new ECU, and that ECU costs a lot. So now I'm done writing the flash. So I'll go back and go to bench mode, use the bench mode to, and this ECU is an Opel ECU. So use the bench mode and go to ECU information to read the information. Now you can see I'm having the VIN, and I'm able to communicate with the ECU, the part number and everything. So I'll go to connect and rewrite it from the connect side. Rewrite it, the internal EEPROM and the internal flash from this side. So I'll write the internal EEPROM so that I know everything is okay now. Now the ECU is recovered back. So I'll also rewrite the flash also, so that now I can know that I'm 100% recovered. So the moment we place the ECU on the vehicle, it should start. This ECU, what we did is we wrote flash, we wrote DPF off and EGR off and AdBlue off onto the ECU, and the client was like he couldn't start it. So during the restoring process, that's where we got the ECU to break the machine, or let's say the multi-prog we are using, break the ECU. So now that we are able to recover it, so the reason why this particular flash is reading faster is because it has the same flash on it, so it will skip some of the sectors and it will not waste time in writing those sectors. So far as it checks and the sectors are the same, it will just skip it. So this will tell me that what I'm doing or what I've done is right. And don't be deceived by this machine that you read the shadow flash, because if you read the shadow flash, you will not get the password. So anytime you are connecting to the machine, during the connection process, it will give you the password in it. But I don't think maybe when you read the shadow flash and in times of need, you get the password from the shadow flash. No. And I don't know if they will do something also that you can use it to recover. Like if you have the shadow flash file, you can use it to recover the password from it. But as at now, if you read the shadow flash down and you don't take a video on it during the connection process, it gives you the shadow flash password. So you don't need to do that necessarily. So now that everything is done, we call it a fixed. So sorry, I went back. I have to go back to it. So now it is almost done and it is at 80%. And if you check the time that this one is using to do the shadow flash, sorry, do the internal flash writing, it didn't take that much time like the one that we did first. Because if you watch that one, it took much time. And one thing I like about Exos would have given you the estimated time. So this one is taking almost 13 minutes to do the shadow flash. Hey, sorry, I say shadow flash, internal flash, and it is now done successfully. So I'll disconnect and go to ECU information and see if I'll be having the VIN. So this one, don't be scared when you see something like this. Is because the ECU has not been turned off and on. So the moment you turn it off and on, everything will come back. Everything will come back correct. So